Hello everyone, today I'm going to be discussing the recent debacle with Blizzard Entertainment, the Hong Kong protesters, and the Chinese government. For those who don't know, Blizzard, a video game company, got into trouble with the media and most of their fan base for banning a Hearthstone player after he called for the liberation of Hong Kong. He was banned from participating for a year in any Hearthstone tournaments and had his prize money revoked as a consequence of using Blizzard's platform to advertise his personal political views. The reaction toward Blizzard's decision from both the United States Congress and the gaming community was outright condemnation for Blizzard's actions. Many online have accused Blizzard of being communist sympathizers and have challenged the integrity of Blizzard's values. I find this condemnation emblematic of a wider philosophical trend tending towards statism, fascism, and every form of unfreedom devised on Earth. The purpose of this video is to give a stalwart defense for Blizzard's actions and to rebuke all of those who have criticized Blizzard Entertainment. If anyone listening is concerned about individual rights and freedom, you are definitely going to want to listen. I'm going to break this video up into two parts. First, I will give my explanation for why Blizzard was justified in acting the way they did. After that, I will explain why many, not all, of those who have criticized Blizzard are moral cannibals, as they undercut Blizzard's ability to profit while benefiting from their productivity. So here is the essential issue. Should Blizzard forego potential profits in the Chinese market by supporting the Hong Kong freedom fighters? Or should they capitulate to the Chinese government so as to maintain access in China? It is both selfish and moral for Blizzard to capitulate to the Chinese government rather than supporting the protesters. Why? Well, to begin with, what is Blizzard Entertainment? It is a corporation purposed to create and sell video games. In order for Blizzard to survive and flourish, they must maximize profit. They must hire the best professionals in the industry, from artists, programmers, and engineers, to create the best product with the least cost for the greatest gain. By acting in self-defense from an authoritarian regime, they proactively protected their access to the market, thus allowing them to maximize profit. Now, some of you may be asking, well, isn't it in their rational self-interest to promote freedom by siding with the protesters? After all, the more free nations are, the less likely Blizzard will have to face capricious force undoing their ability to achieve their values in the first place. There are multiple problems with this view. First, Blizzard is a private company, not a government. Only governments have the monopoly on force, so Blizzard is at the mercy of whatever whims these bureaucrats decide. Clearly, the Chinese government has exercised illegitimate power over its citizens and foreign companies, so the cause, thus blame, for this issue is on the Chinese government, not Blizzard. Second, it is not the responsibility of Blizzard to protect the rights of Chinese citizens. That is the sole responsibility of the Chinese government. Lastly, Blizzard is under duress as the rights are not being respected. As such, there is no longer a harmony of interests between rational individuals. Imagine a gang of criminals captures two innocent men and forces them into a dead pool. Both of these individuals are moral, honest, and good people. However, they have been forced into an irrational context due to the force levied against them. So what normally would be unspeakable is now the rational thing to do. Survive and kill. Similarly, Blizzard and the protesters, even though they share philosophical values, are now at odds with one another. It is not that Blizzard sanctions the communist regime, it is that they are under duress from the illegitimate exercise of power. Another important aspect of why Blizzard's rights are being violated is that the United States government has also capitulated to its enemies for decades. This failure emboldens the more authoritarian elements of foreign governments to ignore American sovereignty. However, that could be the subject for an entirely separate video, though I wanted to point out the relevant factor so as to give full context. Another point honest criticizers may have is whether or not Blizzard should have entered into China in the first place. After all, China doesn't respect the rights of their own citizens, so why should Blizzard expect China to respect their rights? Did they not, in part, bring this upon themselves? No. Again, they are not responsible for the nature of the Chinese government. Blizzard should have an insatiable and greedy desire to have as many people play their games as possible. If they truly believe what they produce is good, they ought to maximize their market share as far as possible, insofar that Blizzard is able to actualize on their goals within the parameters enforced by the Chinese government. Choosing to deal with their irrational demands to maximize profit is moral. What is immoral is when China decides to renege on its proper responsibilities so as to suppress their citizens and by extension violate the sovereignty of American businesses. Now that I have demonstrated how it is within Blizzard's self-interest to capitulate to China, there could still be some honest disagreement regarding the relationship between freedom and profit. One could argue that since profit is dependent on freedom, it would be rational to support the protesters despite the consequences, positive or negative. After all, maximizing freedom eventually will maximize profit, right? That conclusion is disastrously wrong. Let's trace out what consequences Blizzard and the Chinese government would face if Blizzard supported the protesters. Blizzard would face legal reprisal for allowing unacceptable speech on their livestream. They could face thousands or millions of dollars lost in legal fees, or perhaps lose access to the region entirely. So when the finance department reports to executives that 12% of all projected revenue is gone, difficult decisions have to be made, which means a leaner development team and longer times between content releases. All stakeholders invested in Blizzard would suffer, from the player base to all personnel at Blizzard. Meanwhile, the Chinese government would face no repercussion. The United States would not take any meaningful action against China, so they would not be pressured to fundamentally change how they treat American businesses. In other words, Blizzard would incur tremendous losses, while the Chinese government would be unabated. Now, there could be some Trump supporters in my audience that would suggest the trade deals between China and the United States will pressure the Chinese government to respect American sovereignty. That is completely false, though that would be more appropriate for another video, as I wanted to limit this video to one topic. Even given all of these facts, many would suggest that this loss is bearable, or that Blizzard should be willing to stand up for what it believes in, whatever the cost. They would contend that freedom is worth any price, and Blizzard selfishly protecting their own materialistic interests is immoral and wrong. Unless they are willing to sacrifice, their commitments are totally invalid and they should be held account. This view is abject altruism. That view is immoral, as it sets the standard of morality against the requirements of survival. Any value pursued is intrinsically good, regardless of the benefit or injury to the valuer. Let's concretize what Blizzard would do given these moral precepts. In this view, instead of selfishly creating amazing video games, they would selflessly fulfill any duty imposed upon them. They would not ask for any payment for their services, or rather ask for the most minimum amount just to get by. They would scoff at the idea of profit, thus abrogating their ability to grow and flourish. They would praise the employee for volunteering at a food drive while vilifying the programmer staying late to complete an urgent demand as indulgent. Any self-effacing gesture would be commended, while any self-affirming action would be scorned. No company, no country, no man can exist on earth while practicing this vile code. This morality, this code, is what will lead to a world of unfreedom and tyranny. The fact that Blizzard has been unwilling to sacrifice its values is precisely what motivates the cultural outrage and political action against them. Blizzard's detractors undercut their ability to create video games by vilifying self-interest and profit while benefiting from their masterpieces. They feast at the table so generously provided, yet saw away at the pegs that hold it together, and demand Blizzard join their frenzy, or else. This is what makes them moral cannibals. These people are both conservatives and liberals alike. I recently saw a letter shown in the video, signed by both Republicans and Democrats, most notably Senator Marco Rubio and Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. In the letter, it states that Blizzard claims to stand by one's right to express individual thoughts and opinions, yet many of your own employees believe that Activision Blizzard's decision to punish Mr. Chung runs counter to those values. Because your company is such a pillar of the gaming industry, your disappointing decision could have a chilling effect on gamers who seek to use their platform to promote human rights and basic freedoms. The letter continues. As China amplifies its campaign of intimidation, you and your company must decide whether to look beyond the bottom line and promote American values like freedom of speech and thought, or give in to Beijing's demand in order to preserve market access. In other words, sacrifice or we will make you. Today, it is a letter of disappointment. Tomorrow, it will lead to illegitimate laws to force Blizzard and other American companies to support American values such as freedom of speech, which is the beginning of fascism, statism, and every form of unfreedom on Earth. Well, that is the end of this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. If you have any questions about the video, please let me know in the comments. See ya!